History Speaks. How India was drained. In the year 1700, India made up almost 25% of the world's wealth. Back then, India was a land of gold, silk, and spices, trading with the entire world, exporting fine fabrics and precious jewels. Its cities were rich, its craftsmen skillful, and its markets full of life. You won't believe it, Bengal alone was wealthier than all of Britain at that time. But by 1947, when India finally gained independence, its share of the world's economy had fallen to less than 4%. That wealth didn't vanish. It was taken. Not by force, but through accounts, taxes, and trade laws. Speak, where money, power, and history collide. And the stories you thought you knew sound a little different here. The Mughal era. The source of wealth. In the early 1600s, India was ruled by the Mughal Empire, a vast and highly developed civilization with about 150 million people, nearly a quarter of the world's population. Farming, irrigation, and trade ports all thrived. Indian textiles and spices were so famous that Europeans sailed for months just to get them. India profited from almost every trade. Gold and silver flowed in, not out. But across the ocean, a small and clever nation, England, was rising, and it had its eyes set on India's riches. The East India Company, from trader to emperor. In 1600, Queen Elizabeth I gave permission to form the East India Company. It started as a simple trading company, but soon became as powerful as a state, with shareholders, directors, and even its own army. While others sought partnership, the British sought monopoly. Their weapon wasn't the gun when it was finance. They used credit, insurance, and loans to outcompete every other nation. But soon they realized the real profit wasn't in trade, it was in taxation. And in 1757, everything changed. At the Battle of Plassey, the British defeated the ruler of Bengal. After that, they took control of Bengal's tax collection rights. That was the birth of a corporate empire. From then on, the East India Company started sending millions of pounds from Bengal to Europe every year. The result? London got richer, Bengal starved. Famine and cold accounting. In 1770, one of the worst famines in history struck Bengal. Around 10 million people died. But the company didn't stop collecting taxes. Even while people were dying, the profits kept rising. Investors in London called it a great year. Markets had become more important than lives. Progress. In name only to justify their rule, British officials said, "We are modernizing India." But the truth was, this modernization was for Britain's benefit, not India's. Railways weren't built to help farmers. They were built to move raw materials faster to the ports. Schools didn't educate the people. They trained clerks for colonial offices. Courts didn't protect justice. They enforced debt. Even the railways guaranteed British investors a 5% profit paid by Indian taxpayers. If the railways failed, the Indians still had to pay. The drain of wealth. India's bleeding Indian scholar Dadabhai Naoroji called this system the drain of wealth. He showed how every year hundreds of millions of pounds were leaving India, funding Britain's Industrial Revolution. Historians estimate that between 1765 and 1938, Britain took the modern equivalent of $45 trillion from India. That's more than the combined economies of the US and China today. The wealth went out, the hunger came in. India once exported luxury goods. Now it exported raw cotton, opium, and grain. Local artisans and weavers lost their jobs. Entire cities like Dhaka, famous for silk and fine cloth, fell into ruin. During the 1800s, while millions died in famines, India still exported grain to Britain. British officials even said helping the starving would disturb the market. Markets had replaced mercy. India, the empire's bank. Britain even used India's money to fund its other wars. Indian soldiers fought from Africa to Burma. Their salaries paid from Indian taxes. India wasn't just a colony. It had become the empire's central bank. After independence, the system lived on. In 1947, India finally became free. But it inherited more than freedom. It inherited debt, poverty, and a drained economy. And the system didn't disappear, it just changed names. Now it's called debt dependency or financial control. Through the IMF, World Bank, and global trade systems, wealth still flows from the poor to the rich. Every year, developing nations send over $200 billion more to rich countries than they receive in aid. Only now, it's all done quietly, through spreadsheets and numbers. Conclusion. Today's global system is just the modern version of that old empire. It no longer uses guns, it uses contracts and debt. But India didn't stay down. It rebuilt its industries, found its voice, and reinvented itself. Now, it's one of the fastest growing economies in the world.